don't think anybody, including our fan base, are afraid to be the villains. So I think that I think that's what makes this play special, is that starting with our coaching staff and our players, we enjoy getting in a fight, and we enjoy the close games, and we enjoy the competition.
It's here it's Tennessee, so we're gonna get the best guys here. That's just every year. Every time we're out there, it's competition. Nobody has a spot, nobody's comfortable. We're all working to get better.
Wish that I was on a rocket top, down in the Tennessee hills. Ain't no smoggy smoke on rocket top. Ain't no telephone bills. You'll always be home, sweet home to me. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Strangers ain't come down from Rocky Top, reckon they never will.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley.
And I am Gabriel.
It's the morning show, the early morning show. Yeah, I had to put out the tweet, and normally tailgate shows is where I say this, but crack open a beer, pull up a chair. I figure you got to trade in that cold beer for a cup of coffee this morning.
Yeah, I have my drink this time for the extra, but I was telling Boogie before we went live, I actually woke up with a little bit more energy than I expected today. So we're already a little bit more awake than normal. Got my energy drink anyway, so it's gonna be a good show. I'm feeling it.
I'm on my second energy drink of the day. Sometimes you got to add a little extra juice. Man, it's Halloween. I felt, I was going to leave the dark mode Rocky Top in the past and move on without it. But I felt, it's Halloween, so you got to roll it out one more time. But Halloween's weird, man. Halloween is a weird thing. And I know you're way younger than me. So, hey, why not open this up with a little Halloween talk? When I was a kid, it was a big deal. Like whenever October 31st fell, that was the big deal. And you dressed up, you put your little costume on, and you went door to door in your neighborhood, or maybe you would go to the rich neighborhood in town, and you'd carry your sleeping bag or your pillowcase, something to fill sleeping bag. That'd be a lot of candy. Your pillowcase, fill it up full of candy. But now it's so weird, man. It's like you get your kids dressed and you go to this church or this school or this place. Trick-or-treating's dead, man. And it's like Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. It's like you don't even know when Halloween is. I forgot today was Halloween.
Yeah. Today is gonna have to be the last day of spooky Rocky Top, since it's spooky season's gonna be over after today. Now it's on the Can somebody make a Thanksgiving version or is that just the regular version? I think that's probably just the regular version of Rocky Top. But yeah, no, it's weird. I'm in that middle ground right now where I'm not a kid, but I don't have kids. So it's either like if I don't get together with friends and just put together like sort of a half effort costume, then I'm just not doing anything, which is the case this year. But yeah, we always used to go to Island Home in Knoxville to do our trick or treat, and there's always a house that handed out hot chocolate, and the houses with full candy bars, and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, we're not doing anything today. It's just gonna be a chill, relaxed Halloween down here.
Dude, like my old man used to do when we were little, he would make my mom take us out. He would go to the basement, turn out all the lights so nobody would ring the doorbell. We got 200 people watching live, listening to me and Gabe reminisce about the old days of Halloween as kids. We're going to get into it. Fun show today. We're going to talk about the AP poll. We're going to talk a little bit about Georgia. We're going to talk about this high-powered offense. Then Eric Cain from VolQuest and Locked On Vols is going to be joining the show around 8:30. Got a busy week coming up too, man. I made the decision last night after the NCAA stream. It's going down Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Uncle Lou is going to be in the house for about 30 minutes, hanging out, breaking down this Tennessee-Georgia game. So put it on the calendar, mark it down. Uncle Lou makes his Talkin VAWLS debut this Wednesday night. Friday morning, we're doing another morning stream. Friday morning at 9 a.m., myself and Gabe will go live. Ben McKee from GoVols 247 is going to be jumping on and breaking down this Georgia game the day before. That should be a fun stream. And having Ben come on first thing in the morning, get you going, get you fired up leading up to kickoff. Let's run down the chat, see who is hanging out. We got 200 people here. Smash the thumbs up. Get it done early. Get it done often. If you have to create 2 accounts, create 2 accounts. Make it happen. Smash that thumbs up and share it out. Let people know that we went live an hour early. Get it on Twitter. Get it on Facebook. Get it on Instagram. Call up your Aunt Karen and let her know we're live. Now, Brad's in the chat, says, Gabe, get you a lot ring. You get one, and then this is what happens. You go, do I want to be blue? Do I want to be orange? Do I want to be red? Like, it never works out, so it's really a waste of time.
It's dark outside. How do you think I have any light on my face? I just have it over here at an angle, so it's only lighting up like half of my face, I guess. I need to move it back behind my desk, but...
Brad's a professional YouTuber, apparently. Aaron Duck's in the house. What's up, Aaron? Sammy P is here. What's up, Sammy P? Stevie J says, Boogie at 6 a.m. It's definitely too early. When we started these morning shows, a lot of people said that 8 a.m. is when they wanted it to happen. So here we are. Scott Bennett's in the house. What's up, Scott? Always pushing for those thumbs up. Joey Carroll is here. What is up, Joey? Kaylin's in the house, says, good morning. Well, good morning to you, Kaylin. Lonnie Allval Williams is here. Colby's in the house. Colby, the Georgia fan. He's a Georgia fan. I saw old Uncle Allen in the chat earlier as well, guys. Come on in, smash the thumbs up. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about this AP poll. We got a couple of super chats. Let me hit those real quick. I got way behind talking about Halloween. Let me get caught up on these. John Hill for $10.71. That means we can go ahead and start the show. We can switch from Halloween to football because John Hill has kicked off the show. $10.71. Time to neuter the pups, beat Georgia, and go Big Orange. Thank you, John. I appreciate you letting us start the show with that super chat. John, Jody Wooten for 2 got my amazing smoky gray Buck Fama hoodie. Thank you, Jody. Appreciate that. I said this last night on the NCAA stream. Bonfire emailed me and basically said, hey, this shirt sold pretty good. You sure you want to take it down? You sure you want to do that? I said, yes. We're sticking with limited edition, but thank you for picking one up. JT Nip becomes a member of the channel, and Jeremy Bristol also becomes a member of the channel. Thank you, guys. We appreciate that. Zach Hamilton for 2 says, we coming. Man, I'm fired up. Do you look, it's Monday, but do you believe right now? And this is a question we're going to ask Eric Cain in a little bit. He talked about not needing to see Tennessee beat Kentucky to know they're a good football team. And we keep saying they are a good team. They are legit. We keep saying they're back. But do you truly believe it here on October the 31st at 8-0 with number 1 Georgia coming to town? Do you believe it? Is this a good football team?
I absolutely believe it. It's hard. It's actually hard to convince myself because we're sitting on the inside and we're seeing this happen after watching such mediocrity or less over the past 15 years. But I really do believe this is a really good football team. You see all the comparisons, things that haven't happened since the last time we won a national championship. Oh, this hasn't happened since 1998, or this hasn't happened since LSU did this in 2019. So those are the main comparisons I'm seeing, and that's how you know it's real. When people are saying this team, people are legitimately comparing this Tennessee team to what a lot of people call the best team in recent college football history in 2019 LSU. You know there's something up there. So after what Tennessee has accomplished so far this season, I am a full believer that they can accomplish anything. If they beat Georgia, they're winning a national championship, period. If they beat Georgia, they are winning. There's no stopping Tennessee if they beat Georgia and they go to Atlanta. I don't care if they win or lose Atlanta. If we beat Georgia and Alabama, we're in the playoff, period. We're winning a national championship. But honestly, if this team can beat Georgia, I wouldn't be shocked if they could go play Alabama in the SEC championship and beat them again. I fully believe, I said this in a comment on some random video at some point, that I fully believe that since this team has exceeded expectations this much this season, they can exceed any expectation put on them. They can accomplish literally anything that they want to do this season. Whether it happens or not is going to be decided on the football field, but this is a just like Chris is saying, a program changing team. Chris, I will tell you this. Tennessee is actually averaging more points per game and allowing less points per game than that 2019 LSU team on average. So statistically, this is very similar. I mean, no, we don't have Joe Burrow. We have Hendon Hooker, though. You know, like you got to make those comparisons. So I'm extremely excited. I think Tennessee is, it's the whole back versus here debate with you and Dauber, right? I was never there. I was never there when
Don't
Tennessee
side
was
with
good.
him. Don't side with Dauber.
I'm not siding with Dauber. I'm coming from a different perspective. See, I can say that they're here because I've never seen them be good.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. So that to me, they have nothing to be back from. In my experience, obviously, I know what they have to be back from. It's but I long story short, I'm very excited. This team is really good. They don't need to prove it any more than they already have, but they're going to. They can do anything to put their mind to. This is a good football team, mentally and physically.
Aaron Duck says 11 minutes in and G Daddy's already fighting the chat. I don't think he was fighting the chat. Hey, a lot of people are comparing this team to that LSU team from 2019. And I mean, I'm rocking the baseball shirt. I love Tony V. I compared a lot to that Tony Vitello baseball team 2 years ago. Like not last year, 2 years ago, that team was scrappy and they found ways to win. Last year we talked about how fun that football team was or baseball team was to watch. Last year, I think Dauber said on a stream one time, he was like, this team's fun to watch, and I'm like, no, not really. Like last year's baseball team wasn't fun to watch because they just dominated everybody. Right. Like they just went out and dominated. Whereas 2 years ago, that team was scrappy and they found ways to come out of nowhere and win. The walk-off grand slam from Drew Gilbert, just amazing. And this Tennessee team somewhat reminds me of that team until the Kentucky game. I don't know where did that explosion come from, but you had Pitt on the road. It took overtime. Florida kind of got you a little iffy down the stretch, but LSU was a blowout. But Alabama, they're a scrappy bunch of kids, and they're not your pretty little 5 stars. You know what I mean? They're a team. They are a group, and they are pulled together by Josh Heupel, and that's what that baseball team was. They fed off of Tony Vitello, and now you're seeing this football team feed off of Josh Heupel.
Well, what's funny is that as this season goes on, Tennessee doesn't even need to find ways to win. I mean, against your Georgias, they might because they're a good program just like Tennessee. But as the season goes on, early in the season we had a couple close games. But I mean, Alabama was close. But that's another comparison to this 2019 LSU game that we've been that's been talked about. Is that 2019 LSU team almost lost to Auburn early in the season, and then further and further in the season, they looked more and more unbeatable. Who said that? Was that Josh Pate that said that? It might have been Josh Pate that said that. That further along in the season, they looked more and more unbeatable until they won the national championship. We're seeing a lot of those themes from this Tennessee team. Struggling a little bit early, finding their footing, getting better and better, blow out LSU in their own stadium, beat Alabama, while playing a non-perfect game, and just destroy Kentucky with sort of a new defensive lineup in the secondary that just shut Will Levis down, who's a projected first-round draft pick. So if this team can continue to improve, we won't even need to find ways to win. We will just dominate everybody. We will just beat people outright. We don't have to dominate Georgia for it to be a great win. I mean, win by a touchdown or two. Oh my gosh, you're already. I mean, Georgia's the crown jewel of college football. So that's enough. That speaks for itself.
Let me get these super chats real quick. Wesley Telgenhoff becomes a member of the channel. Thank you, Wesley. We appreciate that. A lot of new members coming in the last week or so. We appreciate it. You guys keep the lights on. You pay the bills around here. We're going to bring you more content. The more members flood in. We're still driving that membership campaign. If you want to join the channel, hit that join button down below. It's as little as 99 cents. That's it. 99 cents a month. You get access to custom Talkin VAWLS emojis, fan call-in shows, all kinds of fun stuff. Jeremy Bristol for $5 says, first ever super chat, Vols 41 Dogs 31. I'll take it. Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate that support. I know you've been around here for a long time. Thank you for the super chat. Robert McGee in the house, $10. We're back. Vols by Fitty. I love it, Robert. You notice how he didn't say we're here. He said we're back. He didn't say we're here, Gabe. So Dauber's wrong. Somebody said that Ramel Keaton's dad is in the chat. If so, that's awesome, man. Thanks for dropping in. We appreciate it. Shout out to you and shout out to Ramel Keaton for playing some good football this year. That catch he made against Florida, that was, it kind of sparked that football team to go score there right before the half and really led to, it just sticks out as one of those moments in time, right? We talk about Hendon Hooker making plays against the Floridas, the Alabamas, the Georgias. That's what fans remember. That catch by Ramel Keaton against Florida, we're going to remember that one for a long time. That's SportsCenter top 10 top material there.
Yeah, Ramel, something I love about Ramel is how much, his effort is off the charts. His effort is just unreal. The way he goes for the football, you see all the time in other games, not necessarily Tennessee's wide receivers, but a lot of guys, that on a deep ball, the ball's like a yard and a half, 2 yards in front of them, and you're like, why didn't you try? Ramel's going to try for that every time, and that's what I love about him. His effort, he is so good. He's so good after the catch. I as much as I love Cedric coming back, I hope they keep. They did keep Ramel in the rotation because Cedric was limited, but I hope they keep Ramel in the rotation for the rest of the season because that kid still has something to prove, and he has a lot of potential left to live up to. So, but yeah, I love that kid. He does great. His effort is off the charts, and he's got great hands too.
Alan V. Troll Patrol is a Georgia fan. He's been a part of this channel for a long time. People want me to ban him, kick him from the Facebook group, from the live chat. He's been around here forever. I think it's comical. Somebody said, where have you been, Alan V. Troll Patrol? Says he got bored with winning. So you know what that tells me, Gabe? He got bored with winning. So when it's time for Georgia to lose, he comes rolling back around to the channel. I think it's Destiny Vols by Fitty. Stevie J for $20. That ain't cheap. Says that Kentucky win was the key for this team. It gave our defense confidence boost going into this Georgia game. The defense, man, that was the story of the game. And we're going to save that for when Eric Cain jumps on here. We'll kind of get into that defense that Tennessee showed on Saturday against Kentucky. I want to move in and talk a little bit about the rankings. Thank you, Stevie J. We'll come back to that in just a little bit. Appreciate the super chat. I want to get into the AP poll here for just a moment. Because it came out yesterday. Talked a little bit about this on the NCAA stream last night, but that's always a different audience. But you can see here, Tennessee tied for second. Georgia still sitting at number 1. Tennessee, Ohio State tied for second. You've got Michigan at 4th, Clemson at 5th, Alabama down there at 6th. Somebody asked me an interesting question within the last couple of days and basically said, what do you think happens if Tennessee loses to Georgia on Saturday? Rankings-wise, what do you think happens? And, you look at it and you see Alabama sitting down there at 6th, right? And it's like, well, Tennessee has the win over Alabama head-to-head. So, naturally, if Tennessee lost to the number 1 team in the country, surely they wouldn't fall below Alabama, right? But then I look at it and I look at the way things work. I look at the way the polls work. Would not surprise me at all if Tennessee slips up and loses on Saturday to see them drop below Alabama, even though they won head-to-head.
I don't think they would. I think they drop to maybe 4 or 5. I think they drop to 5. That would leave probably Michigan and Ohio State ahead of them. Well, because we're tied for, I don't know, we'll see. But because I think the consensus is whoever wins in the Michigan Ohio State game is going to the playoff. Clemson, if Clemson can get exposed, and one of Michigan or Ohio State, I don't know how they don't put 3 SEC teams in the playoff. If Clemson gets exposed, and Michigan or Ohio State lose, I don't know how they don't put Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia all in the playoff. Because at that point, who do you pick? Do you pick the like decent Michigan team that lost to Ohio State, or do you pick the garbage, the overrated Clemson that won their garbage conference because every team in the ACC sucks? You know, it's like how do you put the 3 strongest teams in the country are in the SEC? You know, so it's going to be interesting. But another interesting note I want to point out here is that yesterday when the AP poll was released, they were still Tennessee and Ohio State were still tied at 2, but Tennessee was under Ohio State, and now they're over them. So I thought people made a fit about Tennessee having, which it's stupid because if a team in the top 3 is tied and one has more first place votes,
yes, exactly,
that should put them ahead of the other team. Like
that's exactly what I thought when I saw it, and I'm like, okay, Tennessee has 18 first place votes, Ohio State 15, Tennessee's number 2. Like, why?
So painfully obvious. I don't know why that isn't like that. They haven't even thought of that to this point. But I wonder if that's maybe why they kind of like bumped them, even though they're still tied, kind of put them above. Because yesterday Tennessee was below Ohio State 2, and now they're above Ohio State at 2. So I don't know, maybe just
and it really does, and it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, but it's something to check in on every week. You know, we've said it before. Tennessee's going to have the opportunity on Saturday to go prove they're the best team in the country. But you brought up a good point about the college football playoff, and what's the goal, man? What's the goal of college football? Like going back to the BCS days, and it's like you had this formula, but then you always had a team on the outside looking in, right? And you're trying. What is the point? What is the point of sports in general? Like, what's the point of the Super Bowl? What's the point of the World Series? Ideally, you want the 2 best teams to play each other, right? That's what you want in a perfect world. And you know, I don't know how you get that. I don't know how you get that, because if you look at the college football playoff and you say, well, it's always a lot of what ifs, right? What if? Well, what if this? What if that? But you know, you talk about expansion, and do you go 6 teams? Well, then the 7th team is going to be, well, you know, I think we're the best team in the country. We don't get to go. And then if you go 12 teams, the 13th team says that. I don't know that you're ever going to get that true sense of the 2 best teams in the country are playing. And then also, you know, I always argue about it. I talk about, you know, playoff baseball or playoff hockey and March Madness. You go 16 teams. Are you really getting the 2 best teams, or did you get the team that got hot at the right time? Right. Because Ohio State can beat anybody in the country. But we've talked about it to death on here, that could Ohio State go through the gauntlet of the SEC? That's the questions that I always ask. But I want to get to, before Eric jumps on here in just a moment, I want to get to some comments from Kirby Smart about this Tennessee offense. Let me hit these real quick. J.E. becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that. Adam Lee also joins the channel. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. As little as 99 cents a month. If you want to give a little bit more, you can give up to $10 a month. But we appreciate that support. All you members, make sure you're checking it, because every month we cycle out. We lose like 50 members. New ones come in, about 50 go out. So make sure you're keeping it renewed. We appreciate the support around here. Homer Weiser for 5. Georgia Pass D is really untested. 7 out of the 8 teams they played are ranked 83rd or worse in passing. Love what y'all are doing. GBO, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. I mean, Tennessee is going to get theirs. They are going to get theirs on Saturday against Georgia. It just comes down to, can they stop Georgia? I mean, I think this Tennessee team can score on anybody in the country.
I agree. And, you know, I said it before the Alabama game. Tennessee is going to put up the points they need to beat Georgia. It's going to come down to the defense making the stops that they need to. Against Alabama, Tennessee's defense made the stops that they needed to. Georgia does not have Alabama's offense. I know they have some. Brock Bowers is one of the best tight ends in football in general right now. He is going to probably go to the NFL as a rookie and just bless some team with one of the greatest tight ends we'll probably see in the next little bit, because he is unreal. But Georgia does not have Alabama's high-flying offense. They are in the trenches. They are a tough team. They're kind of similar, not necessarily like Kentucky because they're Georgia, but they're more physical on the offensive side of the ball. They still have speed, but their brand of football, their style of football isn't quite as high-flying as Alabama. So, you know, I think that this defense is going to be able to make – another thing Josh Pate said, if I can steal again from him, is that a great offense just needs a good defense to win a national championship.
Yep, 100%.
A great offense.
The game's changed. The game's changed.
Right.
Used to, it was all about elite defenses. I disagree with that, and people always want to point out Georgia last year. But the game is – it's an offensive – it's an offensive game. It's a quarterback game. You got to have a quarterback to go win, and it is. And listen, I want to hear what Kirby Smart has to say about this Tennessee offense. I do want to say thanks to Lonnie Alval-Williams. I caught it here on my phone. He gifted a membership, and it came through to John Perry. So thank you, Lonnie, for gifting some memberships. Let's listen to what Kirby Smart had to say about this Josh Heupel offense.
Well, I mean, is it a concern? They run the ball really well, guys. I know you don't believe me, but they run the ball really well, which is why they throw the ball outside, because everybody's got people inside. They have a perfect storm. They've got really fast, elite wideout with a quarterback with a really strong arm. You know, if they had a quarterback that they couldn't throw it, you'd say, well, they're one-dimensional. But they have a kind of a perfect storm going for his offense. And when he has that, it's really, really, really hard to stop. They go at an elite pace, and they do a tremendous job.
Kirby, how much do you simulate the pace this week, Coach?
Good question. That'll be an age-old question. I think every defensive coordinator across college football is trying to figure that out, and we're all searching. There's no way. I mean, let's be honest. You can two huddle, you can three huddle, you can shotgun huddle, you can go against the air, but they do it, and they do it really well, and it's really hard to defend.
Thank you.
It makes me so happy that you're talking about Kirby Smart, you're talking about Nick Saban, all these defensive masterminds, and they cannot figure out how to stop Josh Heupel's offense.
Yep. Well, you know, I think he laid it out there. And a lot of people are saying, he's got the offense figured out. This scares me more than guys. Every coach knows what Tennessee's offense does. Every coach who has known football and coached football for years looks at Tennessee's offense and is aware that they run the ball well in order to pass the ball well. So he's just saying it. But yeah, he's giving us the proper respect. He's giving the offense proper respect, saying, you know, acknowledging the elite offense we have, because we do. There's no point in not acknowledging it. You know, he wasn't saying, we're not going to be able to stop them. He was just saying, yeah, this is a hard defense to defend. So their game plan, from the sound of what I'm just hearing, is they're going to try and stop our run game. The problem is, and this is the trap that coaches get caught in, we don't necessarily need to run to pass. Running, if we can get the run game going, it opens up the pass game that much more. But if you play the run, either way, we're going to have an advantage on the outside. If you try and gain an advantage on the outside, we are going to have the numbers in the box to run the football. It's going to be about individual effort for Georgia, because Josh Heupel plays the numbers game, and you can't win. You can't win the numbers.
And Kirby Smart said it. He just said it right there. He said they throw the ball outside. That's the beauty of it. The quick stuff to the outside is an extension of the run game. It's making you come up and try to stop the outside quick passes, and then you're going to stack the box, then we're going to throw it over the top. That's the beauty. It is a numbers game, and it's one-on-one matchups. That's the beauty of this offense. Spread you out and make guys make plays, and we're seeing the beauty of that Kentucky game. When Tillman's on the out, or Hyatt's on the outside, Tillman's on the inside. You see them switch. And as they switch, Herbstreit on the broadcast is pointing it out. He's saying, guys, look at this. They're switched. And then, boom, you get the matchup you want. Jalen Hyatt on a linebacker. No, there's no chance. That's why he is running free every single week. We're about to turn this thing over. We're going to change it into a crossover. We're going to turn this thing into Locked On Talkin VAWLS.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good early morning, Cainer. It's early morning Locked On Talkin VAWLS.
It is, man. Happy to be here, but it's a Monday morning after another Tennessee win, and I don't know if you guys heard, but there's a pretty big football game coming up, so there's going to be loads to talk about today and every day this week.
It just seems like it seems like we open with the same conversation every week. Another big win, another big opportunity, and that's what we got coming up on Saturday. Number 1 versus number 2. Hey, look, you know my routine on Monday mornings. Listening to a little Locked On VAWLS. You made the comment. You said that you didn't need to see Tennessee get that win against Kentucky to know they're a good football team. You know, we talked about it all week, the predictions. You know, everybody was pretty much picking Tennessee to win that game. I don't know that anybody saw a 44-6 domination. You know, we see play with Bama. We didn't necessarily expect them to beat Bama, beat Kentucky. We didn't expect them to blow out Kentucky. So when you say that you didn't need to see that win to know this is a good team, how good actually is this football team?
I mean, it is really, really good, and if you can get some consistent play from the defense, not even what they did against Kentucky, because that was great. I mean, that was awesome, right? That's the thing. I knew Tennessee would beat Kentucky. I knew Tennessee would score 40+. I didn't know Tennessee's defense would give up just 205 yards total offense. I didn't know Tennessee's defense would surrender just 6 points. I'm not even talking about giving that type of effort defensively every single game. If it does, I mean, that's fantastic. You just play more complementary football. You play more consistent defense to help out your offense. Then this team can be great. But I mean, it's already great offensively. It is a really good football team. And I keep having these. Someone asked us on VolQuest over the weekend after the game, kind of what was your moment when you were like, you know, okay, you realize this team could be different. This team really is good. And I've had a couple of those moments throughout the year, but I keep going back to doing that 2-minute drill down in Baton Rouge after Tennessee put a whooping on LSU, and I'm like, man, this just kind of feels different. Like, this is a really good team. This is what good teams do. They just go on the road and they beat tail in the SEC. And I know this was at home, but I mean, that's what Tennessee did against Kentucky. So Tennessee's a really, really good team. Again, I didn't have to see Tennessee blow out Kentucky to know Tennessee has a chance to beat Georgia, but just seeing what it did defensively, still shorthanded, it just continues to feed in that momentum that this can be a team that goes off and knocks off Florida, Alabama, and now Georgia in 1 year.
Do you think some of it's battered Vol syndrome? Like, you're talking about several different times throughout the year where you go back and it's like, man, this really is a good football team. This really is a good football team. And I keep saying it, and we belong here. Tennessee belongs where they are at right now. They are one of the best teams in the country. But man, there's just something about what's on paper, right? I look back to there's a reason that so many people were in alignment with this team winning 7 games, 8 games, 9 games. People start talking 10, and you kind of just chuckle and say, there's that guy again. There's that old sunshine bumper, man. He's always fired up. Yeah, always out there saying, why not win a national championship? And it's like, sometimes you have to look at paper, but this team just keeps throwing paper out the window and saying, we've got heart, we've got the culture has changed, and I know that gets overused, but it's the truth. It's the truth, and I just think this truly is a good football team. But hey, you mentioned the defense on Saturday against Kentucky. What a phenomenal effort. You mentioned it there, 205 yards of total offense. That first round number 1 quarterback, that number 1 draft pick, 98 yards passing and 3 interceptions. Yeah. How much better can this defense, and I know, like you said, they don't have to play at that level every week to win, but how much better can they be? We've talked about the secondary being the weak point throughout the season. Danico Slaughter, man, how about him just emerging on Saturday at the corner position, the big hit to force the turnover with Juwan Mitchell coming away with the football, later had the interception. You've got Turnage playing on the opposite side, playing pretty good football as well. Tank McCullough back on the field, Kamal Hadden getting healthier. I don't know what it was earlier in the year. Is it a confidence thing, or was it just one of those deals where, you know, Heupel didn't have a choice. They sent Turnage out there. They put Slaughter at corner. How good can this defense be if the corners play like they did on Saturday?
Yeah, the sky's the limit, in my opinion. And I don't know if it was just all the stars aligning or whatever, but Trayvon Flowers, yeah, he made a couple of mistakes, but I think I say he made a couple of mistakes. He made a couple of plays that we've seen him be on the receiving end this year of like a stiff arm or getting juked out of his shoes or whatever. But I thought Trayvon Flowers played a good game. I thought he played a really good game as well. I thought Wesley Walker played a good game, I don't know what it is. And as far as Danico Slaughter, it's so funny because in the post-game media, he's sitting over there like, yeah, I cross-train at corner. I'd rather play safety, though. I'd rather play in the box.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, like, you just had the game of your life playing cornerback. You could be a starting cornerback from now on. Like, and I'm sure he's happy for the opportunity and everything. It's just kind of funny. But even Danico Slaughter said post-game, like, there's not a lot of experience. And he's right for Kentucky out on the perimeter. Their go-to guys are I know Tavion Robinson's a transfer, and he wasn't a huge factor the other night, but Dane Key's a freshman. Barion Brown's a freshman. They're not a lot of experienced guys, so they're not explosive on the outside. So if there was kind of a game where you needed to move Danico Slaughter out and play Brandon Turn 70 snaps or whatever, it was this game. Now, having said that, they did a phenomenal job. So if you can again just play some consistent football, play some complementary football. I sound like a football coach, and I know it's annoying, but I always say, this defense might give up 40, but can you trade some touchdowns for field goals? Can you force and create some turnovers to give the football back to your offense? That first turnover, Kentucky's in the red zone. Danico Slaughter pops the ball loose since he gets an interception. That's what I'm talking about. If they can just continue to do stuff like that, I just think this defense can continue to get better and better. But it's baptism by fire back there. They're getting a whole lot better. That defensive line, man, they're settling in. Deshaun Terry and Amari Thomas playing together in the interior, they looked really good the other night. I think the linebackers are playing better. So I guess to answer your question, the defense continues to get better and better every single week, I feel like. An effort like that I did not see coming against Kentucky, but I think that should build some confidence moving forward. And there's another challenge this week with Georgia. What can you do against those tight ends and Stetson Bennett?
Yeah, I said the kind of the same thing right before you came on is, a great offense just needs a good defense. I said it before the Alabama game that Tennessee's offense is gonna put up points, but can the defense just get the key stops? Just get the key stops that they need to allow Tennessee to be up those few points at the end. They did exactly that. Especially not even to mention the one at the very end of the game where they forced Alabama to try and make a 50-yard field goal and they missed it. So, Georgia doesn't have, while their offense is highly talented, they don't have the same high-flying offense led by Bryce Young that Alabama has. If Tennessee can just dig their heels in the ground and just get those few stops, Tennessee's offense, I believe, is going to put up enough points to be on the top of the scoreboard on Saturday. And I'm excited to get into the PFF grades on Wednesday on your show, Eric. I'm so excited to listen to that because I was impressed. I was impressed by this secondary and maybe PFF is going to see some things. PFF always tends to see some things that we don't always see, but it looked impressive the whole game. I mean, you look. I believe there was some statistic that only 2 of Will Levis's 8 completions beyond the line of scrimmage were 5 yards or more beyond the line of scrimmage. So this secondary was playing. Credit to the defensive line for getting pressure on Will Levis, but this secondary was not having it. So, I was impressed by Danico Slaughter. And just like you said, if there's a time to put them in and play them a game, get them some really meaningful reps at that position, him, Brandon Turnage, it would be this game. And Jalen McCullough, I didn't even necessarily expect him to play. And he did, and he played pretty well from what I saw. You didn't really see a whole lot of him, but maybe that was a good thing. Being back there, being in command of the defense, communicating. That's one of Josh Heupel's big things about Jalen McCullough is his ability to communicate and get the defense where they need to be. So I was extremely impressed Obviously I made the 10-point or less prediction. I don't necessarily know that I expected Tennessee's defense to play as lights out as they did. You know what I mean? I mean, make the hard stops. I expected it to be, more about Kentucky's offense, but man, this defense, I knew the matchups were bad, but they took those matchups and they ran with it. They were more physical, they were faster, and just shut Kentucky down. So yeah, I was extremely impressed. I'm excited to listen to that Wednesday show for the PFF grades.
Yeah, no matter, and I appreciate the shout out there, PFF Wednesday. No matter how good you feel about somebody's play or Tennessee's play or whatever, PFF will bring you down some notches for sure. So it's always funny. And again, I always say it's not everything, but it's just another way to look at the game. You look at, with Will Levis and his interceptions, two of them were really good plays by Danico Slaughter, obviously. So the first one, he's playing off, giving a whole lot of cushion. It's slant the whole way, comes up, hit stick. Heads up play, tip drill there from Juwan Mitchell making a play. That's not on Will Levis, but the Brandon Turnage interception, I mean, why are you throwing that football? What a horrible decision, right? I mean, Turnage was just there and just caught it. Hats off for making a play, but I mean, it was thrown right to you. So, and then the Danico Slaughter interception, trailing the backside hip, getting inside leverage, kind of playing basketball right there. The ball still up in the air, going up and high pointing. I mean, what a play! I mean, for a guy that's not a cornerback, he looked like a cornerback. So, we'll see. Kamal Hadden, he could have probably win if needed, but in like an emergency situation, they held him out. I mean, he was dressed out and available, so like he should be ready to go soon. That's only going to help. We'll see about Christian Charles. Deshaun Rucker didn't play a snap, but all accounts, I believe he is healthy. Tennessee's getting a little bit healthier right there. Of course, have McCullough back in that secondary as well. So we'll see. I think Josh Heupel said post-game that this is going to be the healthiest that they've been really since the start of the season, which is a good thing.
Yep.
Because you're going to need all the bodies. It's going to be all hands on deck, right? I'm going to start my Georgia prep as soon as we get done here, start going through and listing and all that type of stuff and get a better feel exactly. Because I've only seen them play a couple times this year, but I just know it's a big physical football team. They'll run the football. They rely on Brock Bowers to do pretty much everything. They don't have the Alabama-esque of old, not this year, wide receivers that are explosive down the field, but they're good. They're experienced. They play with a whole lot of confidence. But I'll say it. I mean, Tennessee, in my opinion, can score with anybody. In games like this last year, and you guys obviously remember and will back me up on this, Tennessee would come out, score a lot in the first quarter and look good, wouldn't sustain.
Yep.
The biggest thing that would shock me on Saturday is if Tennessee doesn't sustain what it's been doing offensively, because I don't think, as you guys were talking before I came on, I don't think anybody right now has an answer, because you drop 8, you're going to say, all right, we're not going to do that to Jalen Hyde anymore. You're going to run the football. You continue to run the football. You're going to switch them to run that switch route, get a safety to bot on Tillman, and get Hyatt wide open. You're going to add a new wrinkle in there with Princeton Fan in the shotgun, 3 tight ends on the field with Hunter Salmon, the third-string tight end, coming across, kicking out the ball. I mean, there's just new wrinkles. I don't think anybody has an answer for what Josh Heupel's doing offensively. So I'm super excited to see what's going to come up on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about right before you jumped on. Like you said, we were talking about this offense. Guys, we got almost 500 people watching live. Let's get it to 500. Smash that thumbs up. Share the link. Hit share real quick. Get it out on Twitter, Facebook. Let people know that we are live. Appreciate you hanging out for this Locked On Talkin VAWLS edition. Gabe mentioned PFF Wednesday. You got Mailbag Tuesday. Locked On VAWLS goes up every single Monday through Friday. Make it your second listen. Don't make, I know that certain guy says make it your first. Make it your second, but go check it out. All the links to Eric's stuff are in the description below. Give him a follow on Twitter. Go check out what they're doing over at VolQuest. But somebody in the chat here, he's a not Florida fan. He's a Georgia fan. Alan V. Troll Patrol, always here, always repping Georgia, which is perfectly fine. He makes this comment. He says, doesn't defense win championships? And, Gabe and I were going down this road right before you jumped on. And I just don't, I think the game has changed. I think it is an offensive game. And you said there earlier that Tennessee can score with anybody. Can they sustain it for 60 minutes against Georgia? That's going to be a big key. But when you have a team that scores like Tennessee scores, you've got an opportunity every single week. To me, it's an offensive game. It's all about the quarterback position. What do you say about that old mentality of defense wins championships?
Gosh, man, I am a defensive guy. I will 100% never say anything that's ever targeting ever.
I agree with that.
I don't want anybody getting hurt, but I mean,
it's football. It's football.
Yeah,
it's football.
But no, I mean, as tough as it is to say, I mean that it's a quarterback-driven game. It's a quarterback-driven league. I mean, look at Tennessee's been fantastic with Josh Heupel. The Tennessee's accelerated its rebuild, and I'm not taking anything away from Josh Heupel. I'm not taking anything away from any of these players. But what's accelerated this is a quarterback that can play. I mean, right? And I mean, that's Hendon Hooker. Look how much of a difference in development and coaching and scheme. I get all that, but I mean, look, you replace Hendon Hooker with a Joe Milton, and I know Joe's improved some and he's looked good so far this season, but what would have last year been if he was the starter throughout? How much longer would he have played if he didn't get hurt? What if it was anybody else, any of the other quarterbacks this Tennessee's had here the last 5-6 years? Look how much of a difference a good quarterback, makes, right? And so we're in a game right now to where who can go out there and score the most. And I was thinking about it the other day. I mean, you go back at some of these big time games in Tennessee football history and final score 17-12 or 14-10, or it's like, God, I mean, that's just not the case anymore. It's what defense can, again, trade some sixes for threes, create some turnovers, create some takeaways, have that late defensive stop that's just good enough in order to get the football back to your offense or, win the football game. Back in the day, defense wins championships, but that's I would not say that anymore. It is an offense-driven league. It's an offense-driven game. Got to have a quarterback, and Tennessee's got all those things. So again, you just want a defense that can play complementary football.
Yep, just get the key stops when you need it. Let your offense get back out there on the field and run up the score. That's kind of what I think. I mean, that LSU 2019 has been the big comparison to this Tennessee team. A high-flying offense with an average defense. And to this point in the season, Tennessee's actually allowing less points per game than LSU by about 2 or 3. I pointed that out a little bit earlier, but again, I'll say it a third time. A great defense a great offense just needs a good defense. And if this and we've seen this defense improve every week. I know they held LSU to 13 and then let Alabama score 49, but we're talking about Bryce Young, the Heisman winner last year, Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield. No, they don't have the Jalen Waddles and the Devontae Smiths and the elite wide receivers at the moment that they've had the past couple of years. But we've seen this defense improve, and if Saturday against Kentucky is any indication of improvement in the secondary, if this secondary can play good or well, the defensive line, the front seven, is disruptive enough that this defense has a chance to be at least good, and Tennessee is going to accomplish some great things.
Eric's going to take us all the way up to the top of the hour at 9 o'clock. We said we were going to go an hour today. I got to get out the door, so Eric's going to stick around with us till 9 o'clock, and then we'll wrap this thing up. I don't usually plug merchandise with Eric on the show, but hey, since he's going to stick around till 9, you guys know what to do. Go check out the official merchandise of the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. We still got that business shirt. Hey, I didn't say it. Henry Toa said it. It ain't personal. It's just business. Vols 52, Bama 49. Got that Talkin VAWLS cigar on it. But then all the old favorites as well. Vols by Fitty. The number one seller, Tennessee Talkin VAWLS State Pride shirt. But again, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Any and all sport, we do appreciate it. We love seeing you guys rep the Talkin VAWLS merch. A lot of you guys tweeting out, wearing that merch in Neyland Stadium. A lot of you guys had on the Kentucky's Daddy shirt on Saturday night and said you got a lot of good feedback, so we appreciate it. Always love to see you guys tweeting out, repping Talkin VAWLS merchandise. We still got 464 people watching live. Make sure you guys smash that thumbs up. Tucker White for 5. Thank you for super chat. FYI, with this win over Kentucky, Tennessee's all but guaranteed its first perfect season at Neyland Stadium since 2007 and second since 1999. Thank you, Tucker White, for the super chat. That's something that Gabe said earlier. This season has been so much fun and so special to keep seeing the things like that. Well, we've not done this since that year or this year, and it's going back to 98. It's going back to 20 plus years. Eric, I know you've not dove into your Georgia stuff yet. You'll get into that as the week progresses. Everybody can go check that out at Locked On Vols. But going into this game, look, we know Tennessee's the underdog. I'm looking right now at the matchup on ESPN FPI. They've got Georgia favored to win 74.9%. The spread is showing at 8.5. I don't know if that's exactly accurate or not. But I like to look at numbers. I like to look at, especially this deep into the season. Both teams 8-0. I like to see that Tennessee's averaging 49.4 points a game to Georgia's 41.8. Total yards, everything is so close. Total yards, 553 a game. Georgia, 530. Yards allowed, Tennessee giving up a ton more than Georgia, 393 compared to Georgia's 262. But rushing defense, very similar. The Vols giving up 92 yards a game on the ground. Georgia, 85.5. So, again, I know you've not dove into it, but let's hit the super chat first, then I'll ask you the question. Brad Burnett for 10 says, just because Cain is on the show. Go Big Orange. Surprise. Brad insults me and throws money. At least he didn't say that was for Eric. So that $10 is going right in my pocket, but I do appreciate it, Brad. Thank you for the super chat. Like I said, I know you've not dove into to watching film or anything yet, but just what does Tennessee have to do on Saturday? And I'm not even going to say the words to keep it close. What do they got to do to go take care of business and get the win on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, you got to eliminate some things for Georgia offensively, and I know Georgia's good, really good defensively. I know it was generational type last year, and that's something too. Georgia was so good. Me being a defensive guy, like I just love football. Like I love watching Georgia play defense last year, and I know that people might not like hearing that, but I love football, right? And they were so good defensively last year. But Georgia's offense was good last year. Good. I mean, I think Georgia averaged 30, 37, 38 points per game. It was second to Alabama in the SEC, I believe. Or maybe it was first and Tennessee was second. It was something like that. Anyway, Georgia was really good offensively. So, Tennessee, I believe Tennessee can score. I believe Tennessee will sustain. So defensively, you got to take a few things away. I think Georgia's going to be able to consistently run the football. Maybe not an awful lot, but I think that's something they're going to be able to do throughout the night. And I don't think Tennessee will shut it down completely. But can you take somebody away? Can you neutralize a Brock Bowers? Can you make him the only thing to say, all right, if you're going to beat me, it's going to be with Brock Bowers? Can you affect the passer? Stetson Bennett, it's one of the great stories in college football, and it's cool to root for that story from afar. But again, I mean, he ain't Hendon Hooker. So I mean, if you go there, make some things difficult for him, force him into bad decisions, we'll see what happens. Georgia's not been immortal this year. I mean, of course, I watched him play a little bit against Kent State, and I'm like, what's going on here, right? I mean, they're just sleepwalking, which is understandable. You're best team in the country. You're sleepwalking in a game like Kent State. But then the next week at Missouri, it's like, okay, you got to rally to beat Missouri. I mean, what's going on here? So they're not immortal here. They're human too, and so I just think it's a good opportunity for Tennessee to take a few things away defensively, and then just continue to do what you do offensively, and just see what happens. Stat wise, Georgia's really impressive on paper, but so is Tennessee. So, a lot of it's just kind of the same things we talk about every single week. I just feel like if you take some things away and say, all right, if you're going to beat me, it's going to be with your go-to guy in Brock Bowers. He can get his, but nobody else is going to get theirs, and see what happens. Jahmyr Gibbs, he ran for over 100 yards, but no one else got anything for Alabama in that football game. Kind of like picking up right where Tennessee left off against Alabama is kind of how I would view it. But this is early on in the week. There'll be more keys of the game. And, of course, once you dive in all that prep. But Georgia's really good. But Tennessee is too. So this collision course is going to be a whole lot of fun.
See, that scares me because last week talking about Kentucky, everybody talking about Rodriguez and running the football, and I beat it into the ground all week. I like Tennessee's run defense. I like their run defense against Kentucky, force them to throw the ball, force Levis to make mistakes. That's what happened. Tennessee rolls. But when you start talking about tight end play, and look, he's one of the best in the country. Bowers is an absolute stud. The catch he made on Saturday, I mean, come on. I mean, that's just athletic ability, right? That's just athletic ability. And I don't know that I necessarily like the matchup of Tennessee's linebackers having to cover those Georgia tight ends. But again, they don't have Hendon Hooker. They don't have Jalen Hyatt. Tennessee will have an answer to go toe-to-toe. I think it's going to be another shootout. Bionic Clay with a $10 super chat. Thank you for that. First time catching a live stream with my two favorite Vol YouTube channels. Keep up the good work, y'all. Thank you, Bionic Clay. We appreciate that, buddy. Thanks for dropping in. We got a busy week. Said it at the top of the show. Busy week. Cainer jumping on here today. Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. We're going to get controversial. We're going to let Uncle Lou come in here and rep the Bulldogs. We'll see what happens. He'll be here live at 7 p.m. Eastern time Friday morning. We're going to bring you another morning show. Myself and Gabe will be here hanging out with Ben McKee from Go Vols 247. Can I say that out loud, Eric Cain? Can I say that out loud? Ben McKee will be in the house on Friday, just having some good fun. We'll separate Ben from where he works. Ben does a great job. Looking forward to have him on here Friday after he has time to kind of dive into the Georgia stuff, and he'll break down that game going into it. We got about 5 minutes left, then we're going to wrap up the show. We're talking about Atlanta. We're talking about SEC championships. We're talking about national championships. What do you like, Eric? Let's just be Captain Sunshine Pumper. Tennessee goes and beats Georgia on Saturday, right? They're pretty much they're going to be heavy favorites the rest of the way after this Georgia game, win or lose. They're going to be heavy favorites down the stretch. How big is it for Josh Heupel just to go represent this football team, this program, this state in Atlanta if he gets the opportunity to do that in just 2 years?
It's massive, man. I said this in the. Yeah, I mean, I'm always, I don't hide behind anything. I speak whatever's on my mind, and I like to call myself out when I'm wrong. But I mean, when Hendon Hooker, how many times have we heard, reference to that conversation when he and Josh Heupel spoke about when he was coming back? He's like, yeah, let's go to Atlanta. Let's go to Atlanta. And you're kind of sitting there saying, okay, well, that's cute, right? I mean, that's not going to happen. And I mean, you're a Saturday away, and I understand you got to go win those other games on the schedule, but you're playing for it on Saturday. I mean, wow, that is truly what a testament to this program, these players, and the staff, right? It'd be huge, man. It would be huge. I mean, first SEC championship appearance since 2007. It's the biggest football game since 2007. The acceleration of this program, this rejuvenated fan base, Tennessee getting back on the map and being a power in football. I mean, there's countless other things you could say. It would be massive, man. It'd be massive. Boogie, I know this is your show, but can I pose a question to you guys real quick?
Do it.
Sure.
Tennessee's going to be ranked number 1 Tuesday night, though, right, in college football playoff rankings?
100%.
Okay.
I fully believe so. I think there's no way that the college football playoff committee doesn't look at Tennessee's resume. I mean, it's fairly easy. I think TCU is probably going to be number 5. I think it's going to be Tennessee, Georgia, Ohio State, probably Michigan, Alabama. Well, TCU, Alabama, Clemson. That's what
it's
I
kind of
think.
funny. Ohio State's resume is better than Georgia's right now, which is wild.
Yeah,
I know, but I think that Ohio State's resume isn't better enough than Georgia for them to jump Georgia. I might be wrong though. I'm just dreaming of a 1 and 2 either way.
There's no way you deny Tennessee number 1. They have to be when you look at resume. And I kind of ran this down earlier in the show, but number 17 Pitt on the road win. Number 20 Florida. Number 25 LSU on the road win. Number 3 Alabama. Number 19 Kentucky. Nobody else has beaten 5 top 25 teams, and not just beat them, man. Like you said earlier, Eric, they boat raced LSU on the road. A game, and we always talk about people shifting the goalposts and changing, and it's like, y'all aren't going to be able to do that to LSU. And Tennessee didn't just go win. They destroyed them on the road. They destroyed them.
I mean, just broke them as well. So, I mean, Tennessee's got the best resume. And I said this on our show last night with VolQuest that, the beautiful thing about football and for this situation, you can go play it on Saturday, regardless of what happens. You can go play. You can go prove it. You can go back it up. I mean, it's right in front of you. But, when you're looking at resumes and second all this type of stuff, always go back to the SEC tournaments championship. Like, it doesn't matter in basketball because clearly Tennessee wins it last year, still a 3 seed. Now it doesn't matter because you get knocked out in the first round, but whatever.
Baseball as I'm wearing the championship shirt.
So, but I mean, the resume is undeniable right now. So, and Tennessee's also getting a whole lot of love from around the country. I mean, Tennessee's this darling right now. I said this going into Alabama. Everybody's liking Tennessee. Everybody's rooting for Tennessee right now. How different is that? Tennessee's not a laughingstock. No one's making fun of the coaching changes and the, everything else that's gone on here the last couple of years. Everybody's saying, "Oh, Josh Heupel, yeah, like him. Oh, that Hendon Hooker, wow, what a story there. Jumping out of nowhere. Is he a freshman? No, he's 25. It's like, Tennessee's fun to watch. Oh, Tennessee's beating Alabama. Let's go Vols. Tennessee's kind of been that darling so far, getting a whole lot of love. So, yeah, I would be at this point not shocked. I'd be very surprised if Tennessee wasn't number 1. But regardless, you can go out there and prove it and back it up on Saturday. That's a beautiful thing.
I love to get on Twitter and watch other fan bases. They just keep popping up in your timeline, and they are now taking moral victories in hoping that Georgia beats Tennessee. That's when you know Tennessee is back. Because like you said, we were the laughing stock. Like you couldn't get on Twitter. And what are you supposed to say? And even for Saturday, what are you supposed to say to a Georgia fan? There's not really much you can say until they go prove it. I've sat here in this seat all year and said Georgia's the best team in the country. And I know we talk about resume. There's a difference between resume and who I truly think is the best team. And yeah, you can look at where they've struggled. You know, you mentioned some of the games, Kent State and the Missouri game. But what does Georgia do when it's a ranked opponent, or when it's a rivalry game against Florida, and people are talking about, oh, Florida's gonna give them a game because it's a rivalry. You never know what happens in a rivalry. That game got a little sketchy at times, but Georgia takes care of business. They absolutely destroyed an Oregon football team that everybody was saying was overrated. Now they're still sitting there in the top 10. But you got an opportunity. You got an opportunity to go out on Saturday and prove who the number one team is in the country is. Going to be a lot of fun to watch. Tons of content coming your way this week, guys. Already laid out the schedule. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. is going to be the fan call-in show. So make sure you guys come hang out for that. But we do appreciate you joining us for this morning show. Got to wrap it up at an hour today. Got some stuff got to get done. But Gabe and I will be back with another morning show on Friday, so make sure you tune in. If you're new around here, welcome to the chaos. We don't pretend to be experts until Eric comes on. Then we get a little bit more professional around here. But if you like what we do, make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You won't miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. But that is going to do it for this one. For Gabe, for Eric, my name is Boogie Bentley. Go check out Locked On Vols if you haven't watched it yet. Again, all the links are in the description below. But that is going to do it. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
That we charge.